Fantastic Four from 2005 ran for 1 hour and 46 minutes. We open on a statue of Victor Von Doom being erected outside of his office. Ben and Reed show up and Ben calls Victor fast food science. It's interesting so far, and the choice of verbiage is, amusing, so that's cool. Way to go, Ben. Reed Richards is making a pitch to Victor about what he wants, and that is for Victor and Reed to go to space, which is okay, that's fine, and that's very Fantastic Four. They had gone to school together in this telling. This Von Doom is so suave. He and Susan Storm are seemingly together. He has her in a top position within his company. I really like how smug Victor is towards Reed. And he just loves that Reed needs him. What's the worst that could happen? Not a great question, Reed. Ben wants to pilot, but Johnny Storm is the Von Doom pilot, thanks to Susan. Chris Evans is so young and fun. Victor basically came up with the team's uniforms. I suppose for simplicity and expediency, that is fine. Because the uniforms that the team are wearing are their space suits, if you will. Unstable molecules and whatnots. Sue and Reed in space get interrupted by Victor borrowing Sue. Johnny and Ben chat about Reed clearly wanting Sue back. This film, while changing things, feels as if it is trying to stay true to the heart of the characters. Victor is like the furthest away from the character that I know him to be, because he's not using any diplomatic immunity. He's not the tip-top guy of Latveria. He's just a guy who owns a company that that Reed needs his help to make things happen with. So, I don't know. Still trying to figure out how I feel about this Victor Von Doom. Victor proposing to Sue and Reed interrupting it's basically a whole lot of fun. And the interruption is for good reason, too, because the calculations were wrong. Ben is outside of this space station, and everything's getting very crazy. This cosmic radiation is on the way. Victor's willing to sacrifice Johnny, Ben, and Reed, but Sue isn't willing to lose her friends/family. Sue tries to help, but all four are struck with these cosmic rays. Johnny wakes Ben up sometime later and says everyone else is fine, only for us to see that Ben hasn't changed yet, which was funny, because Johnny and Ben have this great contentious relationship where, well, they're not the brothers, but it's very a brothers messing with each other type of feeling. The first noticeable change is Reed's hair partially turns gray, which is virtually nothing. Victor's bank is threatening to take over his company. Johnny is leaving this test area hospital thing, and his temperature is rising over 200. Ben wants Reed to want Sue, but Reed is happy Sue is happy, because in his mind, she's good. And that's a noble mindset, that just being happy that things are good. Johnny and his nurse somehow get a helicopter, and they ski/snowboard when Johnny catches fire, and also learns that he can fly. Well, he suspects he can fly. He doesn't actually take flight. Doom admits he only wants Sue because of the challenge of it all, which I guess is fine. And also I think it has to do with his rivalry with Reed. Sue goes invisible while yelling at Reed to look at her. All of them have changed somehow. Even Victor seems to be becoming some sort of magnet, or, I don't know, metal man. So much of this movie feels as if they're just like going through the motions, doing things because they feel as though they must. And while it's not really bad, it's a struggle for me to feel good about the movie as of so far, because like I want to like it. It's just not as good as I want it to be. And I think a lot of it has to do with the target audience being non-fans of the franchise already, and with that, they think they have to lay all this groundwork. Ben Grimm at a payphone. Yeah, I did. It's weird. Payphones are a thing that feel like they've just never been around, or haven't been around forever. I mean, not never. And so, yeah, his wife, when she sees him, and everything just goes to chaos. And I'm just glad that she didn't get hit by a car when she ran away from him, because it looked like she might. The next day, Ben is pooped on by a pigeon while sitting on a bridge. A jumper shows up, and Ben says, "How bad could it be? Look at me." Ben stops a tractor trailer from hitting the would-be jumper after he falls into traffic, because, obviously Ben Grimm is not what you would expect to see anywhere, let alone when you're going to go take a long walk off of a short bridge. The rest of the team is also on the bridge, but the other three are not very good with their powers yet. I mean, not that Ben has anything to be good with. He's just a rock monster, so he's not got as big of a learning curve, I guess. I enjoy the team learning through stressful situations, which is good. Also, Chris Evans is such a natural hero. He's cool, and seeing the team be heroes is good stuff. It's big time terrible when Ben's wife leaves her wedding ring behind, and he's even unable to pick it up. This causes Reed to make Ben the promise, probably not the best promise to make, but he promises to get Ben back to the way that he once was. I'm such a fan of Chris Evans. "Is it true you can fly?" he is asked, and he says, "Still trying." It isn't that easy. Johnny is such a fun character and so good at this PR and press stuff. He's definitely my favorite part of the film as of so far. This Victor Von Doom storyline, it feels far too similar to the Norman Osborn story from the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Stan Lee is the mailman, and that's fun. I always like seeing Stan pop up. Johnny saying, "Come on, am I the only one who thinks this is cool?" That's just so well written for the Johnny Storm character. While at the Baxter Building, Sue sees Reed, who is bad at expressing himself. Reed does actually care. He seems to hold their relationship among his highest accomplishments, and it is something that really opens Sue's eyes, because she wanted their relationship to grow, and feeling as though it was stagnant is why she broke up with Reed to begin with, is what led to her and Victor working together. Victor tries to take Sue back to his medical center, but she and Reed both believe Sue should stay and figure out what has happened with the whole crew together. I still don't understand why Victor seems so connected, or even like he's becoming metal. I don't get that. The examination of all four is pretty fun, especially when Reed hits Ben with a framing hammer, and just to get his knee to move. Sue and Reed are still dealing with the breakup, and it's sad stuff because that's how breakups work. Victor is becoming a living metal man. The doctor that he's seeing wants to tell the CDC because he is of the, in my opinion, stupid opinion thought process that Von Doom might be contagious, and so Victor kills him, saying, "I think I'll get a second opinion," which, is one of the better lines they've had throughout this thing so far. Sue is not nearly as good with her powers or any of this really as her brother is. Ben is in such rough shape. He bites through a fork because he hasn't come to grips with the new level of strength he's at. One thing this movie is just A1 at is all of these mighty montages, which is something that is sorely missed in the modern age. These things really show the characters learning and developing and getting accustomed to what they're capable of doing, which is the beauty of the montage. The movie acknowledges Victor is from Latveria, which I think is good because that was something I thought was missing early on. It happened right before Von Doom killed the dude trying to take over his company, because that guy, the dude who's basically doing the Norman Osborn story, was saying, "Oh, you should go back to your nothing country of Latveria," or whatever. So, yeah, at least they did it. That's the important thing. I mean, he still doesn't fit the way I see Victor, but, baby steps, I guess. Maybe in Fantastic Four, the the invasion of Latveria or something, we'll get the true placement of Victor Von Doom in his rightful place. Johnny Storm goes to a motocross event because he can't stand being in the house and all the experiments that Reed's running. And Johnny tries to fly, but mostly falls ungracefully. Johnny added a number 4 to these spacesuits. That way they actually look like the Fantastic Four uniforms, so that's good. What do you call that thing? He is the Thing. This Bennett and Johnny rivalry it's everything I want it to be, because in the comics they just go at it all the time. And so the movie's doing a good job of winning me over to its approach on the characters. One thing I do find funny, though, is during this Torch versus Thing fight is all of the product placement. You've got Mountain Dew Code Red, Burger King, Pepsi. So, it's just all kinds of sponsorships in the background. They actually take it a step further in the second film and put all the sponsorships on Johnny's uniform because, it's very his character. When Sue and Reed break up the fight, they're like, "Oh, Johnny's always been a hothead," which is, just playing into the characteristics of what he has become. Victor kills more people at his own company to get equipment from his old areas of operation. Ben, who is, trying to come to grips or understand what's up with himself, goes to drink away his sorrows at a bar and meets Alicia, who wants to feel his face because she's blind. I do not know why Latveria gave Victor this mask, this iron mask, but, I guess whatever it takes to get from point A to point B, at least Victor finally looks like Dr. Doom. It took quite a while, but we finally got there. Reed assumed Sue was with Victor, but she clarifies that they aren't dating. Doom is trying to get Ben to turn on Reed by convincing him Reed isn't giving it his all to put Ben back to his original form, and uses the fact that Reed and Sue are getting close once again as his evidence. This Reed and Ben fight it's not as good as the Johnny and Ben fight, but it's pretty good. And Johnny and Sue have a verbal altercation as well, so I guess they're still learning, they're still developing, they're still trying to figure out where they fit with each other, so it's fine that they're in conflict, and, most families do fight, so I guess that's to be understood. With less than a half an hour left, Reed messes his body up trying to use this cure machine, but Von Doom convinces Ben that the machine will work if it just has enough power, and so this Metal Man electric power stuff that Von Doom's been demonstrating has all been in an effort so that he can power the machine to take Ben's powers away, or strength away, if you will. And when the Thing, Ben Grimm, steps into the machine, that is exactly what happens. And the Thing is no more. Von Doom is now working to get Dr. Richards and Susan Storm out of the equation, along with Johnny. Sue tells Johnny, don't even think about it. And Johnny says, I never do, which I thought was, again, another great line from the character. I don't think about it, never do. Reed, frozen down during this fight, he looks up to the Baxter Building and he sees Ben using the machine to once again turn himself back into the Thing, so that in the climax we can have the Fantastic Four fighting Doctor Doom. And in this big fight, we kind of turn Doom into like a living statue, which is odd, but whatever, I guess, question mark, Yo Heroes or something. Yeah, I mean, there were definitely ups, there were definitely downs. At times this felt more like a Hallmark movie or rom-com than a superhero film, but in the end, I do give it a good 4 out of 5 film, because enough of the beats were there to where that I could get behind it. Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular here at Mr. Super Oz, I just want to thank you for tuning in to the channel. It exists because I, Oz, from the channel Mr. Super Oz, I wrote a 68-page graphic novel called Everlasting Survivors. Volume 1 is called All Day Long. If you follow the link in the description of this video, you can get yourself hats, shirts, posters, all kinds of fun things. But most importantly, you can get the story itself. And the more people that pick up the story, the greater the chances are that there can be continued adventures with these heroes. If you could, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, enjoy. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer ran for 1 hour and 26 minutes and came out in 2007. Space, the final frontier. Oh, wait, never mind. Jokes aren't appropriate. The world has been destroyed. From the dead world, we see the Surfer flying away. We are on Earth. The Silver Surfer is changing everything he comes in contact with. Whether it's bringing snow to the desert or freezing an entire ocean, seemingly, causing power outages, all kinds of stuff. The news is reporting that, but it also cares more about the, tabloid version of news when it says Reed and Sue are getting married Saturday. Sue is worried that the wedding will be delayed again, because anytime something comes up, her and Reed take the back seat to the emergency. And so that's a nice little setup piece. They're all taking a flight, and of course Ben gets stuck in the middle seat. Johnny wants an endorsement deal with a plane so that they can get their own private flights out. Although Johnny doesn't even worry about getting on this flight and flies himself outside the plane. Johnny's pitching new uniforms that will have a very NASCAR look and feel to it, where the team have all their sponsors on their uniforms. I'm not really against this idea. I think it's kind of cool. And, just like with the last film, the one that came out in 2005, they are very product placement heavy with with this idea and within that film, so that's kind of fun. Reed broke his promise to Sue. He is looking into this global anomaly that he said he wouldn't. So Johnny threatens to out him to his soon-to-be wife if he doesn't agree to come to the bachelor party that Johnny is planning. The surfer is being obscured every time he does anything, but he's literally in the title, so I find it weird that the Silver Surfer is treated mostly as a blur, kind of like how The Flash in the show The Flash was called The Blur early on. Surfer having this cosmic change power is clearly just a mechanism so that we can bring Doctor Doom back from his statuesque state that he ended in the first film, or so I feel like. Yep, Doctor Doom is back to normal, and, well, not, I don't know what you would call it, frozen in this box. Reed, Johnny, and Ben are all having this big bachelor party, and Sue is joined by the military who want her to take them to Reed. This bunch of ladies wanting to dance with Reed feels odd to me, but okay, fine, whatever. I guess it's fine. Sue isn't happy, but couldn't it be way, way worse? I feel like it was just dancing. I mean, yeah, you look like a goof, but whatever. This general is anti-Reed Richards. There's a lady captain from the Army who gives the team pictures from space. Again, Silver Surfer is not clear in them, so much so that Ben and Reed aren't even sure what they're looking at. At least with that, blurring the Silver Surfer in pictures just shows that the cameras that they're trying to capture the Surfer with aren't top-notch. Johnny tries to hook up with the Army captain, and she wants nothing to do with him. Cut to Latveria, Doom is free. Reed built that sensor for the government that he lied and told Sue he wouldn't help them with, because science comes first when it comes to Reed Richards. He's very Sheldon Cooper in that way, or maybe Sheldon Cooper is very Reed Richards in that way. I guess that's a fine argument since Reed existed first. Johnny brings a supermodel to the wedding, and Stan Lee is playing himself at the wedding and not the mailman anymore. But he doesn't get in because he's not on the expected list or the approved, the name of folks. Ben comes to find Reed and tells him that he's going to be late to his own wedding. It's fun. Ben and Alicia are a really great couple. Johnny is so amusing. I mean, I'm just a big fan of Chris Evans and this rivalry between Ben and Johnny. Reed isn't the only one tracking the Silver Surfer. Doom is also trying to figure out information on this cosmic energy that's happening. Sue and Johnny have this great brother-sister rapport, and it's nice that you can carry over that established relationship from the comics into the film. The preacher, attempting to conduct the wedding is a stand-up comedian. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I'll figure it out. Reed gets information about the cosmic energy as Sue is coming down the aisle. Before the preacher can do the ceremony, everything keeps interrupting. Even a helicopter crashes into the wedding. This just wasn't meant to be. Sue knew it going back to her first appearance in the film, and Reed has Johnny chase after the Silver Surfer. It's a very fun sequence, the flying race, if you will. It goes all over the place. They start in New York, they get to DC, they even end in space, and Johnny gets dropped in the middle of nowhere where a camel, looks down upon him as in concern, it feels like. Even though the chase scene was fun, nothing was solved. The Silver Surfer is still in space, and he summons his master. Johnny is back at the Baxter Building, and Ben is enjoying making fun of him. And Sue keeps bringing up the idea of her and Reed having kids. I wonder if they planned on introducing Franklin and Valeria in a possible threequel. I don't know. Also, Johnny's run-in with the Surfer made his powers unstable, and he and Sue switch powers temporarily. Ben wants to switch, and he and Johnny look ridiculous when they switch it up, although Ben is really liking playing with fire. Reed proposes after the wedding he and Sue retire from the Fantastic Four. This could have been a very interesting approach had they dove in feet first into, I don't know, maybe a Fantastic Four 3, and had Johnny and Ben team up with, let's just say, Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Hank Pym mentoring a Scott Lang, and then She-Hulk steps in. Just different versions of a four-person team throughout this thing, and you could also see Reed and Sue, especially if it's like, let's say 2-3 years later, you could see them hanging out with the kids. I would think in this version it would be helpful if Franklin and Valeria were twins, so that, let's just say hypothetically a movie came out in 2010, 2011, they could be 3 or 4 years old, playing with powers and doing chaotic stuff. But that's in a world where things played out differently. Reed has done the math, and everything the Surfer has done before has ended up in the worlds that he's visited being destroyed in 8 days. That's interesting stuff. En route to this big confrontation, Johnny and Ben are in their feelings because Johnny overheard Reed talking about he and Sue retiring, and of course this predictably leads to the family going at odds with one another. This outing basically shows the team is almost finished, as Reed is being kind of a dick to Johnny, and that's not cool. The Army General is bringing in Doom to back up the Fantastic Four, which is also strange, but okay, I guess. It's a way to get him in the story. It seems weird the government being cool with the guy who was the big-time villain in the prior film, but, it's just paint-by-number stuff to get from point A to point B, and have the person reoccur from the first film here in the follow-up. The first one, it got me on board in the end and got a pretty good score, and so I hope that this movie doesn't continue to lose me, because it's feeling very disjointed. At least we are past the halfway point. Hopefully this one can continue to improve, but I do remember how we end and show Galactus, so I'm skeptical. Sue inspires Reed, unknowingly. She was just trying to be helpful. And Johnny and Ben, they reflect on the possibility of this being the end of the world. Not just the team, but everything. Sue confronts Doom, because, how can you trust Victor? Dr. Doom feels like, he shouldn't be trusted, because that only makes sense. The Army captain, just like her general boss, is also kind of a dick to the heroes. Most people in this movie aren't very likable. The general calls the Fantastic Four a pack of freaks, and that's, it's messed up. It's not like they attempted to make this happen or aren't doing their best to help save the world. The team is setting a trap for the Silver Surfer, but he showed up early and is seemingly too smart and too powerful for the team to stop. The Surfer says he doesn't have a choice and that he isn't the destroyer. My goodness, this is so... It's so made for people who know nothing about this world, or so it feels like to me, because that's always been one of the big takeaways from the MCU to me, is they don't treat the audience as though they need to have their hands held and walked through it. They just say, this is what it is, get on board or get out of here. Whereas this prior world where there wasn't, a vast plethora of superhero stuff, they often felt like, I must hold your hand and walk you through the mall like it's very dangerous. Do you know what I'm telling you? And I just thought that was unnecessary. Please let this final portion go quickly. The Fantastic Four are imprisoned on an army base while the general and his minions try to get information from the Surfer. Johnny's amusing like always because, Chris Evans is a lot of fun. He's just a good dude, and it's easy to feel support for him. Doug Jones, the man who visually portrays the Silver Surfer, not the voice actor, because that's Lawrence Fishburne. But he was a really good dude in real life when I met him at the Lexington Comic and Toy Show. Sue reminds Norrin of his beloved Shalaba. This Victor doesn't feel like Doctor Doom, but really just the actor because they want to show his face way too much. This not Doctor Doom kills the general and is finally looking the part of Doctor Doom, so I guess that's something. This is it's pretty cool, Doom taking control of the surfboard and getting new silver cosmic powers, I guess. I'm still not sure that it's going to win me over. Reed gets the Fantastic Car to come to this army base from the Baxter Building, and Frankie, that army captain, she lets the heroes go because, I don't know, they don't really even explain it too good. I guess Johnny got to her in the end and won her over. While it has quite a bit of dumb and pointlessness, at least the core of the heroes do feel like they're attempted to be done right. Johnny's amusing, Ben is gruff, Reed's smart, Sue's the heart. Like, she's so the heart of the team that she takes a stabbing so as to save the Silver Surfer, and this impacts him so much that he decides to, go to the self-checkout and take Galactus with him, although Galactus doesn't even seem like a threat because he looks like just a giant floating cloud thing, and it's, I don't know, it almost looks like a storm and not a world eater. Johnny goes Super Skrull, where he, with his unstableness, takes on everybody's powers to stop Doctor Doom, it's fine. Johnny, with everybody's powers, frees up the board. That's what leads to Silver Surfer, going to space, and it doesn't make sense to me how supposedly Silver Surfer self-destructs and takes out Galactus, because I know Galactus is the one who gave Silver Surfer his powers, and why would he give him the power to destroy himself? But whatever, the space tornado has been dissipated. The movie ends with Norrin saving Sue before he goes to space to destroy Galactus, that way that Johnny, Sue, Reed, and Ben can all hug it out. That way Reed and Sue can have their private wedding ceremony. Which, that part is fine, and I guess overall I give the whole movie a fine 3 out of 5. It's definitely a step down from the prior movie and not great overall. I mean, the bones are still there. Like I said, had they gone all the way with a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, or whatever, if this had been a franchise that continued, I would have liked to have seen where these characters evolved to, because of how vast the Fantastic Four universe can be, especially when you introduce the concept of the Future Foundation, where Reed and Sue and Ben, they try to guide the next generation in an almost X-Men fashion of learning and attempting to be heroic. But none of that happened. The franchise, if you will, was just a to and through, but like Mr. Thomas would say. But like I said, it's fine overall. The first one's good-ish, and I'm looking forward to see if these folks do, any of them, return for a Secret Wars or any other interdimensional playtime with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the review, and come back the rest of the week for more content. Later.